What lurks behind this unassuming storefronts in Cleveland, Ohio? It's the Buckland Museum of Witchcraft and Magic. Welcome back to the Buckland Museum of Witchcraft and Magic in Cleveland, Ohio. This is today, well, the last couple days, it's an exciting time for people that follow the wheel of the year. We've just turned to the time of Beltane, and this is where the lady takes over for the Lord. It's time of life and growth. And to celebrate, our dear friend Sade Wolfkitten will be leading us down a guided meditation. This is this is pretty much my favorite time of the year, so pretty stoked for this. I realize that it's such a beautiful day outside. I wonder if many people are going to join in on the meditation, or they're like, I'm going to go do my own Beltane thing and go for a walk outside. And this is going to be archived on our Facebook page as well as our YouTube channel. So if you're like, yeah, this is too nice, I'm going to go for a walk, hey, you can catch it later. So, welcome, Sadie. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It's nice to see you again.
There I am.
Haven't really spoken since the last turn of the wheel.
Not too much, no.
6 weeks ago. So, how are you doing in quarantine times?
I am living in a slightly alternate universe where I'm not really quite there.
Yeah. Well,
I feel weirdly about it. I went back to work just before the lockdown started. So I get up every morning, I walk the dog, I go into my office. I don't see very many people at my job, and those that do are out in the hall passing by.
yeah.
So I'm not, concerned about that, but it definitely has the feeling of being something that's happening more out there for me. And I'm very aware that that isn't the fact, but it's still, I sometimes feel like I'm I'm even more slightly out of sync with the universe than I usually would be. So,
yeah, well, that's why we love you, Sadie. So, do you have a name for this meditation?
well, I started calling this one MayDay Glamoury. Is more of a guided journey than meditation. This is based on actual experiences I've had, and it's just hopefully something that people will find relaxing and enjoyable, and a story to take you away from the things that are happening out in the world right now.
So I gotta ask: is there going to be a bustle in the hedgerow?
There may already have been.
All right.
Got a spring clean for this May Queen.
Yeah, one thing that I've really enjoyed about the situation that we're in is I have had more chances to go hiking. I pretty much go hiking about 4 times a week now, and that's pretty much a plus. So
I see your Instagram.
Yeah, probably Jillian. She has a better eye than mine. We found our first morels mushrooms, and that was exciting. I just want to say, anybody watching, we're gonna be opening the museum limited hours starting on May 19th. It's appointment only. You can get tickets on the website bucklemuseum.org. Hour-long sessions, limited to 6 people per hour, and it's just what we're gonna have to do. Oh, so Kelvin says good afternoon. Good afternoon, Kelvin. So Sadie, you want to take it away?
Guess I can. And
all right.
Maybe we'll pick up a few along the way, or maybe folks will join us in their own time at a later edition. So I'm glad you all have joined me, those of you who are here for this experiment in virtual meditation. As a start, figured I would say a little bit about Beltane, or MayDay. This is one of the 8 pagan holidays that make up the Wheel of the Year, and more specifically, one of the 4 cross-quarter days. As you might know, 4 of the holidays are comprised of the solstices and equinoxes, while the other 4 happen at the midway points between them. So we're now midway between the spring equinox, sometimes known as Ostara, and the summer solstice, or Litha. But another interesting fact about Beltane is that we are now exactly opposite the point on the wheel from Samhain, or Halloween, which is a pagan holiday that pretty much everyone, it seems, knows at least a little bit about. And as the 2 solstices mirror each other in being the longest night, the longest day, the equinoxes are the 2 points of balance where day and night are equal. So Beltane and Samhain mirror each other as times when the gates to the other world spring open. At Samhain, of course, these gates are said to be those of the underworld and the realm of the dead. For Beltane, we are instead looking at opening the gates of life, of summer, sensuality, and abundance. As such, today's meditation will take us to an event that long served as my personal door into summer, the Fairy Festival. Of course, as with so much in this pivotal plague year, there will not be a fairy festival in 2020, but I hope that by going on this mental journey with me, I can at least share some of the magic to be found amongst the Fae with all of you. And despite this being a video, there isn't that much to watch. Rather, you should kick back, listen, and allow yourself to experience the journey through the wonders of imagination. This will last close to an hour, so before we get started, I'd like to ask folks to just turn off their phones, set them to vibrate, and as much as possible, close out any distractions in your immediate environment. I usually begin these meditations by putting up a protective sphere around the group. My background is in the fairy tradition, so I usually use 7 directions. In addition to the standard north, south, east, and west, I add above, below, and center. Since we aren't sharing the same physical space today, I'm going to read an abbreviated version of these. You don't need to face them, but at least try to focus your attention on each in turn. Oh, are we ready? All right, let's begin by putting up a sphere to hold all of us here together in virtual space, wherever our physical bodies might be. We're going to begin by placing our sphere in the north. So, by ancient earthwork, fort, and barrow, at the midnight hour on the winter solstice, I call up castle walls and hobbit holes and rough-hewn timbers, the gifts of the material plane, the strength of foundation, earth to the ground. Join us now, if you will, in this sphere of creation. Turning to the east, by the piper at the gates of dawn, at sunrise on the morning of the spring equinox, I call up bursting crocus and hyacinth perfume, the clarity and wisdom of understanding to speak to us in the tongue of wind. Join us now, if you will, in this sphere of creation. Turning now to the south, with the passion of lovers, at midday at the summer solstice, I call up lust for life, ecstatic dance around midsummer bonfires, the will, the passion, and the spark that heats our loins and brings a flush to the face. Join us now, if you will, in this sphere of creation. From the west, with prayers for rain, at twilight on the eve of the autumn equinox, I call up mystic insight from the rainbow's end, where the sky meets the sea and the space between the worlds is thin, the depth of compassion, the drink of dreamers. Join us now, if you will, in this sphere of creation. We look now to the above, with the diamond bullet of enlightenment from crystalline towers and iridescent spheres. I call up inner knowledge, the spiritual plane, the light of a fully expanded awareness, the endless reflection of a mirror looking into itself. Join us now, if you will, in this sphere of creation. And to the below, with the velvet cloak of endarkenment from the 0 point, the void, the no thing that never was, I call up the endlessness of infinity, emptiness, and stillness, the mysteries of the tomb, the knowledge of that which is not, the darkness on the edge of forever, the starless mire. Join us now, if you will, in the sphere of creation. Finally, the center, with the multifaceted gem of reflection from that central point round which all else revolves, I call up the all that is, the calm at the center of the storm, the line between the yin and the yang, and the reconciliation of all opposites. Join us now, if you will, in this sphere of creation. This sphere can be seen as a protected space, large enough to hold us all within, keeping us safely together. And as this stream is potentially available to anyone, anywhere on the planet, let's visualize this sphere as encompassing the whole of Mother Earth, holding us all, warding off that which threatens, even if only for a little while. Each of you is assisting with this sphere, holding it up with your energy, your presence here with us today, or at any future time you might see this. We're co-creators of this reality. So for a time, we're going to envision a safer, saner, healthier world together. Now, I'd like everyone to make sure that you're sitting comfortably with your back as straight as possible. Your spine is an energy channel for nerve impulses, for your ki or chi, but it's also a divining rod that connects you through your chakras to the world around you, of which we are still all a part. We are in the world as cells are in a body. If you haven't already, I'm going to ask you now to close your eyes and begin breathing slowly and fully. Feel your breath circle in, moving down and through you, expanding your throat, your lungs, your belly. With each breath you take in, feel yourself becoming more relaxed. As with each breath you breathe out, more and more stress, tension, and everyday cares are leaving you. And as you relax and begin to settle more, you feel this energy that is flowing in, move further and further into your body, pushing through any blockages, moving down your arms, out from your palms, and as it moves down your legs and out through the soles of your feet, even further now, moving through your spinal column, down, down, seeking the earth as the roots of a tree seek water below the soil. Feel your roots spread out below you, seeking that nourishment, that connection. And as you do, notice that despite the physical distance of our bodies, your roots begin to encounter other roots put out by the others in this virtual circle, on and on. Feel your roots reaching out to each person who is tuned in here, entwining and nestling together. Our roots are forming their own circle below us, connecting us all inside our protective sphere, rooting us in the earth that supports us and is our home. Draw in another breath now, a new breath, one that is moving upward. This breath fills your head, the space behind your eyes, still moving up and up until at last the energy begins to bubble out from the top of your head, spilling like a fountain, arching and splashing gracefully. And as it does, the drops begin to mingle with those of others in this circle, sparkling and dancing, creating another circle above us of light and water and air, gently connecting us with the soothing sound of water music and quiet flashes of rainbow refraction. And as our roots did below, so too let this fountain reach out and across, connecting you with each person here in this liminal space until we are linked above as below, a perfect double sphere of energy and intent that surrounds us and protects us. Now, it's time for you to open your inner eye. We've entered a new realm now, in a time that is not a time, and a place that is not a place. The spheres that hold us have become a world of our own making, a place we can safely gather, a place you can return to whenever you wish. And as you adjust to this space, you find yourself moving, drawn along a path that leads in towards the center. It seems near enough to reach out and touch, but as you move towards it, you realize you are a path leading you onwards and inwards. So as your inner eye opens, you find yourself in a lot of sorts, bare dirt or gravel underfoot. It is daytime, but cool out, foggy and gray, a mist all around you obscuring any but the merest suggestion of buildings nearby. A country road can just barely be discerned, running past you towards open spaces you can feel more than see. Not there long, however, before a bus pulls up, painted a somber dark green with no markings. The door opens as it pulls to a stop in front of you. The driver is shrouded, difficult to make out in the unlit interior. Nevertheless, you get on board, pleased to discover there is no fare. Once you are settled on the old-fashioned leather seat, the bus resumes its ever so slightly rickety journey down the road and away from the misty lot. It travels along for a short time, old wood frame houses appearing now and then from the fog, then fading back into obscurity as you pass on by. The bus rounds a curve, chugging its way up one side of a hill and then back down the other into a quaint, tiny town. The fog begins to clear away as you crest the rise, and the day grows perceptibly brighter. The village you are passing through is small and droll, consisting of weathered, stick-built homes and low, century-old red brick buildings. The bus crosses a train track, passing a pretty, if queerly shaped, little Victorian storefront with bowed windows. It continues on past a bank, a single-screen movie theater, a grocery store, and some slightly more modern homes. The sky is now clear and bright, and the air seems to be turning warmer. As you approach the far side of town, you pass a block where islands of colorful phlox tumble down a bank to border the street, fluffy beds full of pastel ice cream colors. And yet you drive on a while more, through rolling farmland, crossing creeks, on narrow one-lane bridges, the sun now shining brightly from a clear blue sky, charming homes and farmsteads scattered here and there along the road. But this relaxing countryside tour does not last long either. After trundling across one last narrow bridge, you travel up a slight rise. On your left is a barn and farmhouse that appear almost to have been cut off by the road whose corner they perch on. The bus slows, turning now onto a twisting country lane. It travels slowly along, passing more farmhouses and the fields around them. As it does so, an unusual murmur reaches your ears, with a slight suggestion of musical undercurrent. Rounding another curve, you begin to see people, many in unusual or brightly colored outfits, trekking down paths that are wedged betwixt the woods and the road. The bus crests another slight rise, passing a small field with open garden beds and a whimsical cob-style low barn at the back. Next to this field, a drive turns in, and it is here that the bus pulls up, its doors swinging open. Without another thought, you clamber down the steps and up the drive. The sound you have been hearing has increased till now you hear it clearly coming from just ahead. You see that even more people are winding in from the opposite direction, and everyone is headed towards the gates that you now stand in front of. Just as you reach them, you hear a bell sounding, and from somewhere on the grounds ahead of you comes a call, "The mortals are coming!" And with that, the gates are thrown open and you are welcomed inside. Just beyond the gate, the drive bridges a pretty little brook, which wends its way up into the farmstead beyond you. A low stone wall runs along to the left, creating a paddock behind which a few placid horses graze. A little ways on, a strong-looking fellow in a white shirt and kilt is playing a fiddle-like instrument with a trumpet horn sprouting from its base, an open case for tossed coin on the ground at his feet. Across from him, a gaggle of godmotherly types are gathered, their full skirts reaching to the ground, brightly colored, many times patched aprons tied atop. One of them, a radiantly cheerful lady whose silver white hair is laced with nearly invisible iridescent strands and topped with a wreath of flowers, steps towards you as you approach. Greetings, dear mortal. We are so very glad you have made your way here to our beloved annual May Day celebration. My name is Mariette, and I believe I have something here just for you. She stops to search through the many pockets on her apron, her dress, her full skirts. I know I have something. Let me see. Oh, here we are. And from a pocket so deep in the layers of skirts and flounces she wears that you cannot even see it, she brings out a single feather. But not just any feather. This one is stunningly white, save for the tip, which has been dipped in gold glitter that catches the sun. A loop of variegated rainbow yarn is wrapped around the shaft, with a tiny golden bee attached to the short end. She beckons to you to hold out your hand, so she may set her treasure delicately upon it. This feather, she says, letting it rest on her palm, this feather came from an enchanted village that is not so far away as some might think. Whoever possesses it may find that enchanted land, but only when the constellation Pleiades rises above the horizon into the evening sky. If you listen with your heart, you may hear and follow the buzzing of this little bee, wending its way back to the tribe that gave it birth. Tucking her gift inside your shirt for safekeeping, you turn and stroll beneath the overhanging branches of a huge evergreen. Across from you is a small stage, framed by saplings and draped in colorful ribbons. People are seated on straw bales set in a half circle out front, watching a nymph in combat boots and a corset, a lock of green hair escaping from behind her pointed ears to frame the fawn spots scattered across her cheeks, singing, I need you to clap if you believe. And of course they do. Do you? Continuing on, you come to a bridge over the same brook you passed on your way in. The marshy edges are marked off with weathered stakes connected by ribbons of aqua and orange, pink and green and yellow. The bridge itself is made of planks and really only wide enough for one at a time to cross. Yet there is a perpetual traffic jam in the middle. People stop to peer over the side and wave. As you get closer, you realize several mermaids are lounging below, their shimmering tails cooling in the water as they smile and blow kisses to those passing by above. You wander back up the grassy path, past more booths, to reconnect with the main road inn, people in bright clothes on every side. Some are dressed in royal regalia, some in tie-dyes and thrift store finery, some in tutus and glitter face paint. As you follow the road up to the right, a shrub off to one side suddenly stands up and stretches, and children rush away happily shrieking, the Moss Man! It's the Moss Man! You stop and accept a treat from a booth to your right that is dispensing handmade wings and half lemons with a large peppermint stick serving as a straw in the middle. The wing maker herself hands it to you with a wink of her smiling, sparkling eyes. Just beyond that, a small side yard is ringed with yet more colorful booths. Near the entrance stands a cart, its proprietor next to it. A most unusual fellow he is, with his ears, long nose, and beard all ending in sharp points. His eyebrows curl into swirls, and a long, donkey-like tail swishes from the back of his knee-length pants. His cart is decorated with a variety of handmade swag, each piece slightly more eye-catching than the last. Oh, welcome, he cackles in a Cockney-esque whine. My name's Gandersnitch the Goblin, and I can see you need something special from the wares I peddle. Perhaps some ears? Now, I see you have a pair of your own. Horns? Not quite. He fishes through the items on display, then opens some drawers in the base of his cart. Ah, here we go. I knew I was keeping this for someone. He brings out a velvety embroidered pouch, just right for collecting treasures. You reach for it, but he pulls back. Not so fast, my friend. Goblins are great, but we're not fools. What can you offer me in exchange for this? You begin to search your pockets, but he shakes his head. Coin from the mundane realm has no value here, he says. Oh, but that's it. Mundanity. Don't care for it myself, but some of my goblin brethren find it quite the delicacy. You won't mind if I remove a bit of yours? You won't even notice that it's gone. Makes some unusual passes with his hands, after which you find yourself back at the road with a curiously emblazoned pouch whose design seems to shift slightly every time you look directly at it. The colors around you seem to have shifted as well, everything in slightly sharper relief than it was before. Deciding this might be a safer place for it, you withdraw your gold-tipped feather and place it inside the pouch. Your eye is drawn by the sight of a belly dance troupe passing by, followed by a small but enthusiastic brass band. You drift along in their wake, taking only a few steps down the road before you see the bell that you heard earlier, a large old Liberty-style bell mounted atop a wooden post. It stands in front of a charming, multi-storied brick home that seems it must always have been part of the picturesque countryside. From here, you have a choice. The path leads straight on ahead, past the front of the house, to a sloping field with a bower-built stage at the bottom. There, framed by downed saplings and fluttering flags, a band of drummers accompanied by a lone bagpiper are rocking out to the delight of the dancers who are bobbing in unison in waves across the lawn. But off to the left, the road leads up a slight incline. A miniature wood off the roadside is marked as the Dark Fairy Realm. Dare you enter? Perhaps not just yet. Across the way, another elderly barn is bedecked with banners made from multiple embroidered hankies and young women in short ball gowns, tiaras, and sparkling wings who invite you to join Posy's tea party. Yet you continue on up the hill. Shaggy ponies take delighted small children for circular rides, and once past them, you see the vista open out. You now find yourself at the entrance to a most magical market. As you make your way forward, enchanting booths of every description open to your right and to your left. You stroll amongst them, browsing amongst incense and books, leather masks and pirate hats, wrought iron and hanging crystals. More music ripples out of a large tent to one side, where a kindly fellow in an antler-bedecked top hat is strumming a mandolin, while a sylph with silver blonde curls plays along on her ukulele. The air is scented with wafts of champa, mouth-watering scents from the grills by the food court, and now and then a hint of a different kind of smoke. Just as you are trying to decide where to turn next, you're interrupted by the bleating of a horn, followed by a rhythmic drumbeat and the chanting of multiple rough, loud voices. Turning to see what could possibly be happening, you're greeted by the sight of a dozen or more figures, green shirts, pants, or kilts, topped by vines and branches, leafy masks, head wreaths, and deer horns branching from their heads. Hoof and horn, all that dies shall be reborn, they chant. Corn and grain, all that falls shall rise again. As they approach, one peels off to this side, one to that, distributing little tokens amongst the crowd. One taller fellow, with his long hair tangled up in the greenery framing his high cheekbones, walks up to you and presses a large acorn into your palm. Blessings of the Green Man, he says. Keep this safe. Then returns to the procession. Realize the pouch you acquired from the goblin is just the thing for this as well, and tuck the unusually large and deeply capped acorn into its depths beside the feather. You've now reached the top of a hill and pause to refresh yourself from the lemon drink still carried in your other hand. From here, you can see out over hazy fields behind you or back down towards the house with the bell. The bagpipe band is still playing at full clip, and the slope leading down to their stage is a rippling mass of laughing, bobbing dancers. Looking back towards the path that you just descended, you realize there is more that was tucked around the far side of the barns and buildings, nestling together near the brick home at the center of the farm. You resolve to make your way back down there soon, but first decide to explore a bit more here atop the hill. In fact, as you reach the end of the row of booths, you see there's a small observatory on the site, built of mud-clad straw bales like the building you passed coming in. But barely have you headed in that direction, then a bass-heavy flamenco-style riff erupts from another bower stage, tucked here against the tree line. Looking to locate the source, you see a fellow in a button-deck jacket with the sleeves ripped off, a flat-top pork pie hat on his head bent in classic rock and roll fashion over a rack of pedals. Next to him, a slender lass in striped pirate trousers and long red hair is keeping rhythm with a tambourine in one hand and a cymbal-lashing drumstick in the other. Here, too, the crowd is happily joining the dance, a passel of small children chasing a never-ending cascade of bubbles to one side of the stage. The monster riff draws to an end, and the guitar shifts to a simple, surprisingly familiar three-chord progression. Can it be? Well, almost. Taking the microphones, they begin to sing, bow, 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 I want to be a fairy. And the crowd erupts in cheers, smiles on every face. You stay and watch for a bit, enjoying the music, perhaps wondering how two people can generate such a full sound. Fairy magic, perhaps? But that reminds you that there is more you haven't yet experienced, so you reluctantly turn away and make your way down through another aisle of colorful booths. A mannequin stands in front of one, her bikini made of overlapping lavender petals, a parasol of banana leaves shading her from the sun. Another offers cloaks and corsets or coin-bedecked veils. Truly every sort of fairy finery is available here, so much more besides. Wall hangings, stained glass or pottery mugs for your home, hand-carved wooden staves or sculptures for the garden, and of course, every sort of enchanted plaything imaginable. As you make your way through, you may find yourself drawn to a particular booth, an item you feel you simply must have. As with your encounter with Gandersnitch, they have no interest in human money, but they may barter with you to give up something you might previously have thought you needed, but lately are finding has grown cumbersome. If you think about it, you might easily find an example of something in your life that has outgrown its usefulness, that you would gladly trade away for an imaginative treasure. What a fairy vendor might have for such items is a mystery not to be solved today. Be aware, however, an item that they find particularly valuable will not be parted with for a trifling donation. Sure that the price they ask is one you are willing to pay. Having completed your transaction, you are now nearly back to the road. You pass a final booth that has a Victorian-style oval mirror in a stand out front. As you walk by, you catch a glimpse of yourself, reflected with the full afternoon sun shining down upon you. You may notice that your appearance has changed since arriving at this fair. Perhaps your face has been painted with tribal markings. Perhaps you acquired a veil or a kilt, a pair of wings, or a pair of pointed ears. Stopping for a moment, how do you see yourself here? You may find yourself manifesting a side of your personality that doesn't get out to play as often as you might like. In a realm where you can be virtually anyone you want, who do you see yourself becoming? Still considering this, you start back down the hill, passing the ponies and coming once again upon the wooded thicket marked as the Dark Fairies' realm. Curious, you've just about made up your mind to peek inside when from a gap in the trees there suddenly emerges a giant. Well, maybe not a giant, but he is enormously tall, his raven locks catching only for a moment in the slight branches before he shakes them free. Clad in black leather armor and sturdy boots, a dark fur pelt draped down his back. "Roar!" he shouts in a deep bass rumble. "Wotan the Fairy Smasher is here to put an end to you pesky fairies." With that, he raises a comically large yet suspiciously squishy-looking mallet over his head. "Just as soon as I find some." One gaggle of girlish fae runs shrieking in mock terror that sounds quite indistinguishable from fits of giggles, while another group of small, brave children in outfits ranging from Peter Pan hats and green leggings to Spider-Man Halloween costumes instead advance, brandishing foam swords and pool noodles. "No! Stop! Let me at those fairies!" the giant roars, but is soon beaten back into the woods as the ragtag soldiers cheer their victory. Considering it's safe to pass, you continue down the hill, back past the tea party, where a winged and statuesque May Queen in a leafy green corset and lavender-petaled skirt presides over her courtiers. Seated atop spotted mushrooms with matching mushroom tables, they serve red clover tea to any who care to join them. At the bottom of the hill, a nymph in shades of magenta, pink, and pale green sits atop a stump, playing a rounded steel drum in her lap, a basket of her wares resting amongst the greenery beside her. She seems unperturbed by the recent giant attack, though her large wings would seem to have made her vulnerable to his hammer. Despite the chance of rousing the fairy smasher into the dark fairy wood. Under the shady boughs within, a magpie queen in tattery strips of black and white perches on her wicker throne. She is searching through a basket of shiny objects, holding up first one, then another, as her crow-faced attendants look on and caw their approval. Unsure of your presumably still human welcome there, you duck back out, heading past the field where the bagpipes and drums still skirl, past the bell that warns all of the mortals. Just as you reach that point, a troop of various fairy sorts comes skipping past, bearing a banner with their totemic stag. "Come dream in the meadow!" A curly-haired lass with sweetly rounded face, full bobbing tutu, and silvery white wings cries out to you. As she passes, she presses something into your hand, but before you can thank her or even recognize the item, her fairy band has already moved on up the road. When their merry mischief has fully swept past, you see she has pressed a small whistle into your palm. In a few steps, you are once more beside Gander Snitch's cart. "Ah, going native, are we? Well done, well done." You smile, unsure just what he might be referring to, but don't stop to converse, as the closer you come to the central conglomeration, the more certain you are that is where, of all the enchanting places encountered in this realm, you'd most like to be. The whistle, it seems, also fits neatly into the pouch he sold you, so there you tuck it along with the other treasures you've collected. As you approach the stream, intent on your destination, a happily unruly mob surges up from the direction of the bridge. "River! River! River!" they chant, following a leather-masked and mud-bedaubed fellow with a beard full of feathers, a similarly attired stuffed otter perched on his shoulder. As the throng surrounds you, a shimmering aqua blue sea monster that just might have an artful fellow wearing it as a hat approaches. He tries to speak from below the fire alarm eyes, popcorn tentacles, and foam fins, but the boisterous crowd drowns his words. Instead, he presses a small vial of water into your hand. "Creek," he manages to mouth, before being swept along by the tide of gleeful young folk, clearly intent on frolicking through the waters of life. The dark blue bottle is tightly capped and just small enough to fit neatly into your treasure pouch, along with the acorn, the feather, and the tin whistle. The river tribe, for indeed that is who they are, Soon turn a corner a bit past where you stand, heading for an open space behind a large, picturesque red barn. You consider following, but the tents you spied from atop the hill are all on the other side of that barn, so you decide to head that way first before coming around to meet them. There are more food courts here, tempting you with hemp-based pretzels, lavender ice cream, and fresh coffee. But at the moment, your mind is more engaged in your stomach. You start to climb a short rise between the horse barn and the big red one, only to see two of another type of giant heading right for you. He resembles a scarecrow with straw hair peeking out from his pointed brown cap, his long, long stilt legs encased in brightly striped trousers, while his partner is crowned with a wreath of leaves matching those on her top and around her waist, a shimmering skirt in deepening shades of gold and bronze, cascading down, down, down all the way to the ground. Somehow, the two descend the steep rise down past a row of vineyards as easily as you or I would walk down a flight of stairs. Scarecrow winks at you and honks a large circular horn at his waist as they pass on to the fair at large. Barely have they gone by, but another energetic collection of folks sweep up and around them from the entry road. Mountain, they chant. We will rock you. The group is led by women dressed in reds, browns, and earth tones, one of whom carries a large brown pennant with their name and logo, and others bearing dragons in their arms. One turns its head to look at you as they go by, steam rising gently from its nostrils as its leathery bronze wings fan the breeze. A druidic-looking fellow in their entourage pauses as he walks by you. Dragons don't often part with their treasure, he says to you confidentially. But I don't think they'll mind if I give you this. He hands you a small stone bristling with crystal points, and you add this as well to your pouch as he hurries to catch up to the rest. Group 2 turns and passes in front of the old red barn, heading for the open space behind. On the far side of the barn now, you see there's yet another stage, this one bedecked with a large painted sun and featuring a steampunkish group whose music blends strings, music box melodies, and a danceable beat. As with every stage you've passed, people down front are dancing while others enjoy the show from their straw bale seat. As you wend your way around the audience, careful to block no one's view, you are greeted with a blast of bubbles from behind the barn. Children of all ages are everywhere at this gathering, but nowhere more than here, where a constant fountain of bubbles erupts from a machine with what appears to be a tiny windmill mounted at one end. Some chase them, some try to catch them on their tongues, some simply open their arms in glee as the iridescent spheres cascade over them, while beaming parents watch from the edges. At last, you have reached the small meadow behind the barn. Near the center stands a maypole, a tall sapling stripped of branches and bedecked with long, long, colorful ribbons. You stand at the edge, observing people duck and weave around each other, one trailing end of a ribbon held in their hand as they go over this one and under the next, two circles traveling in opposite but complementary directions. You're debating giving it a try. A mischievous-looking pixie in a corset, ripped fishnets, tutu, and combat boots materializes at your elbow. Are you having fun yet? She asks, gazing as well at the maypole being wound in prismatic strips. You assure her that you are, very much so. Well, she replies, we can fix that. Surprised, you look at her and at first startled to see two quite reptilian eyes peering out from her round glasses, but realize they are mere hologrammatic images on the lens surface. At least, you think so. She gives you a cheery smile that belies her words, then begins to wend her way through the crowd. Along the back side of a barn is a slightly raised platform, and it is this that is the locus of attention amongst the various groups that came marching into this court just ahead of you. For a court it is, as you will soon come to understand. The dancers pause in their weaving as all eyes now turn toward the dais. The platform is curved in the shape of a half moon, bowing out into the crowd. A wandering Celtic shaman with flowing silver golden hair steps to the fore and leads the crowd in calling up the four directions. A bard in shaggy green pants and horn-bedecked top hat then takes over, explaining that we have come here to crown the king and queen of the May, the green man himself and his radiant lady in a blue velvet gown. Alchemy, as you may know, is not just a system of transforming a base metal such as lead into gold, begins the bard, but also of transforming that which is base within ourselves into something higher. This, then, is a ceremony which embodies some of these alchemical changes and celebrates us all becoming better and better merely by being here. He goes on to explain that there are 4 tribes in this realm, representing the 4 basic elements: mountain for the earth, river, of course, being water, meadow tribe for the air, and woodland representing fire. Cheers go up from differing quarters as he names them, and you realize these are the different groups that you encountered back on the road, all heading here to celebrate their king and queen. He beckons a representative of each of the tribes to come forward, each of them bearing an item or gift that will play a role in the alchemical transformation that is about to happen. Representing the north, the 2 women with the small steaming dragons come forward. They offer a selection of fragrant spices from the earth itself. Next up is a lass in tutu, a wicker cornucopia worn as a hat on her head. From the bees in the meadow, she offers a gift of honey wine. After her come the representative of the woodland bearing a candle. She explains the flame of cosmic fire is returning us to summer. Thousands of candles may be lit from a single flame, she tells the crowd, yet never decreases the original light. So, too, happiness never decreases by being shared. Then comes the mud daub man from the river tribe, bearing the chalice of wisdom. He explains that it enhances the merit of every art, increases treasure, and strengthens all people through those gifts. Turning to the forefront, the top-hatted bard adds that many alchemists also include something known as the quintessence, representing the 5th element, spirit. This is brought forth by another elder of the tribe who reminds us that spirit permeates all that is. Changes made to any of the other 4 elements affect the 5th as well. The mead is then poured into the chalice, the spices stirred in, the candle lit, the chalice placed on a brazier above it to warm. This elixir, says the bard, has the power to transform you all merely by being in its presence when prepared. As you watch this ceremony, you are reminded that you, too, have received gifts and treasures from these 4 tribes and a 5th item from the marching green men during your time here today. You marvel at your good fortune to have joined them in coming together to witness their oaths before the royal court. Soon, the alchemical potion is prepared and presented to the king and queen, along with a staff and scepter of honor for each. The king himself is one of the green men, and he hails his tribe, who have also gathered their virile and verdant selves on the edge of the throng. All, it seems, have gathered here out of love for this community. Oh, excuse me. And the royal couple at the center of it all. I am so sorry. Here, it is apparent there is a balance in the world. Balance between the elements, between fey folk and mortal, between the land and those who revere and inhabit it. And with this balance comes hope, the joy and laughter all around, the music you hear from every direction, the color and creativity displayed as every new outfit expresses yet another fantastic declaration of who the wearer truly feels themselves to be. And you recognize that you, too, are part of this world simply by being here. The ceremony on the Half Moon stage is drawing to a close, but before it does, the Green Man King is urging everyone to join him in a not any simple hooray will do. There is a very special cheer they share here. The magical word cubiando. We have a word here you may have heard, he begins. It was brought to us years ago from a little girl who slipped into the realm of fairy, as small children so often are able to do. It is our fairy blessing, our peace sign, a universal greeting of light and love. I'd like you all to join me now in sending this blessing out, not just to the land here, but to all the realms, both near and far, that are in need of some fairy magic. Are you ready? He asks. And with that, he crouches down to touch the earth, as does virtually everyone in the crowd who can. Okay. Cubiando! As he speaks, everyone rises up on the first syllables, raising the cubiando energy higher and higher, then at last sending it off with a joyous release towards the heavens. The kubi part, he explains, allows the energy to flow up through you from the earth, through your heart, and then you abandon yourself to the universe. Kind of funny in a way. We sacrifice ourselves by opening up this way. But when you do so, the universe throws all that energy back to you, and you get cubiando. Now that you know the secret word, you can carry it with you wherever you may travel from here. The first step to building this dream world is learning how to dream again, something that we hope everyone has seen from themselves here at our MayDay Festival. Ceremony concluded, everyone cheers and hugs one another before marching off singing, Alento, jolly rumble-o, we all sing a hearty cubiando. You two return towards the road, thinking perhaps you might stay here forever if you could. And though music and the sound of happy voices can be heard on every hand, a new rhythm has started up. The sound of many drums circled together in an exuberant outpouring of bliss. You follow the sound back across the small bridge, though the mermaids now seem to have swum all away. On the far side, you pass a bower bedecked in beads and twirling decorations, tiny clay fairies nestled under an octagonal roof next to their nearly life-size siblings rising from branches and pieces of driftwood. The drummers have gathered in the open space just beyond, and you can't help but be swept up by the infectious rhythms. Enter, young people dance with the young at heart, with wings and skirts, coin scarves, and rainbow shirts, all flashing as they twirl happily about. Perhaps you join them for a time, dancing here neath the flowering trees, as a few stray bubbles drift down from the maypole court to join in the revelry. Yet, somehow, before you know it, the shadows have grown long, and the sun is already dipping down behind the horse barn. The drummers come to a finale, and everyone finishes with another cubiando and a cheer. No one, it's obvious, wants to leave, but it is not considered wise to stay in the fairy realms after dark. Reluctantly, you two begin a slow saunter down the drive, past a solo musician in a purple Renaissance shirt and floppy hat, strumming favorites on his guitar. You are not particularly surprised to find the green bus waiting for you at the end of the drive, much as you might wish it would have forgotten to pick you up. You notice, however, it is no longer such a dismal shade of green, but bears a gradient now of shades from top to bottom. The driver, too, indistinct before, now wears a tall red cap and a long beard and winks at you as you climb back on board. On the trip back towards the small village, you touch the pouch containing your fairy treasures and think about all you experienced today. Remembering the words of the pocket fairy you encountered on your arrival, you consider whether the place you just left might indeed be that enchanted village. And though your physical form no longer frolics amongst the fae, you can feel the sacredness of the joy that permeated every scene you witnessed, every conversation you had, now taking root in your heart. And as you pass back through town and down the hill on the other side, you consider how you might bring that amazing feeling back into your everyday life. May Day is a time when we transition from spring into summer, the hopes and dreams that we formed at the equinox now growing into fruition as life returns to the natural world around us. All good stories must come to an end, but like any story, this one will come again alive into your head every time you revisit it. And with it comes the reminder that every single one of you, every one of us, possesses the power to effect change upon our world. As you step off the bus and back to the lot that connects your daily world to this imaginative one, you may wish to consider what changes you wish to see enacted here, right here, where we are living now. The wheel of the year turns, progressing us from the dark half of the year into the light, each turning another pass, another chance to shape the world around us. Right now, as we celebrate the May Day holiday, we are not only warming from spring into summer, but the moon is waxing overhead. Both cycles allow us to build our energies, dreams, and hopes for the future into a peak that is released before we fade and relax, before the cycle turns and returns again. And as you step off the bus, as you prepare to return to this world, know that we find ourselves now at an unprecedented turning point in our lives. However, the current situation has affected you, we stand now at a point where everything is changing, and we have a chance to shape things more to our liking as we go forward. Remember who you saw when you looked into that mirror on the hill. Remember who you are inside and who you would be if you but had the chance. If you can, you may wish to use this pause to start sketching out a path to manifesting that same energy here in your day-to-day life. Remember, too, you have the gifts of the fairy tribe still with you in your heart to meditate upon and draw inspiration from as you return to your waking life. Standing again in the lot where you began, you find you can almost certainly feel roots of your own reaching down into the earth and branches above yearning towards the heavens. Thinking of these roots, these branches, reminds you of the connections you have made and of the room where you sit, each of us stepping off that bus, then here, back again, apart and yet circled all together. Let us now take a moment to thank the Center for holding a presence in this sphere of creation and for providing a point which all else revolves. Go if you must, but stay if you will. Hail and farewell. We thank, too, the below, whose presence in this sphere of creation has provided the nothing from which all arises. Go if you must, stay if you will. Hail and farewell. Our thanks to the above, whose presence in this sphere of creation has provided the light of awareness that blooms in all our hearts. Go if you must, stay if you will. Hail and farewell. We thank the West, whose presence in the sphere of creation provided us the primordial experience and essence of love. Go if you must, but stay if you will. Hail and farewell. Our thanks to the South, whose presence in this sphere of creation provided us the energy and inspiration to carry our gifts out into the world. Go if you must, but stay if you will. Hail and farewell. So too, we thank the East, whose presence in this sphere of creation gave us the ability to imagine, to think, and to visualize our dreams and perhaps make them real. Go if you must, stay if you will. Hail and farewell. And we give thanks to the North, whose presence in this sphere of creation has provided the foundation upon which all else is based. Go if you must, stay if you will. Hail and farewell. And now the circle is open, but never broken. So merry meet and merry part and merry meet again. And with that, I thank you so much for joining me here today. There is a section for comments over there. I believe it's at the side. At least that's how we see it. I don't know if Stephen's been monitoring those, but I look forward to hearing any positive visions you may wish to share or comments. And maybe we'll do this again in 6 weeks.
Yeah, I hope we can. Thank you very much, Sadie. That was very nice.
Thank
you. So what's the secret word?
Kumbiyando.
Kumbiyando. All right.
Kumbiyando.
Now, you were telling me that this meditation pretty much comes from personal experience?
Yeah. Much more of that is real than not, or has been real.
So it's had a certain kind of real life quality to it. So.
Yeah, and it just, I realized this is the first Mayday weekend this century that I have not been on that farm with those people.
Yeah.
Partly last year, the festival, it actually ended at that location in 2018. Last year, we just had a gathering for those of us who had been participants in it, and, you know, kind of our little green room get together. Would have done it again this year, but obviously things have changed from what first was being discussed. So it was something. I was first there in the year 2000, and nearly everything I described, I either saw myself or can be found in photos and videos that are online. It was an event, and still is. It has moved to summer solstice weekend, and I haven't been to the new one yet because the solstice is so close to Starwood. I just couldn't take the time last year, and was hoping I could get there this year, but then they had to cancel it completely. So
yeah. Oh, I feel like pretty much everything's going to be canceled this year, which is awful.
Yeah. Well, on the other hand, better to cancel it and live.
Well, yeah. No, absolutely. So Larry says we'll be going to a power spot in the forest to celebrate Beltane with nature, spirits, etc. after this meditation. That's wonderful to hear. So Larry is the I guess he's the top of the pyramid for the esoteric calendar. And if you have an interest in esoteric events, I know that there's a low point of these right now, but I would suggest that you visit. Let me double check to see what it is here. Esotericcalendar.com. And I'm going to share my screen here. Friendly heads up. Here we go. So the esoteric calendar, it's a great calendar of events. Like here we have the Buckland 3rd anniversary party, which, June 13th. We did have our 3rd 3-year anniversary a few days ago. We did a little cyber version of this, but we hope to have a real party next month. We may not. We'll see. But a lot of times, things that happen in like Northeast Ohio in particular, they'll like different shops will have events and they'll have these posted on here. So there's not a lot going on right now, but I would suggest that you visit the esoteric calendar as much as you can, because once things start opening up, I'm sure people are going to love going out and exploring the world. So let's see here. Back. Move from screen. Okay. So our friend Tamara Forslund says, greetings from Australia. Did you get a chance to meet her last year? Do you?
I don't think so. No.
She's very cool. She is a Wiccan high priestess from Australia. She had met Ray way back in the day, and she came and visited us last year. It was a lot of fun. Victoria says, greetings from Smithfield, Virginia. Thanks for chiming in, Victoria. Trish says, thank you so much. Just what my spirit needed. I have to agree. Same here. And Kelvin says, thank you. So
I know this one was a little different than some of the others I've done, but just suggested itself to me so strongly. And it was just such an incredible, really transformative event that you would go to it and then just everybody would be like, oh my God, why have I never known this before? I can't wait till next year to get back. And, last night I was thinking about how many tribes of people there are of all different sorts. I mean, you've got the hippies, you've got the pagans, but you've got things like the juggalos, you've got all the Rainbow family, all these underground communities that are out there. And we're also part of this world and this country and need to be represented.
Yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying there. It's even the juggalos need to find need to be able to share their voice. And I was very sad to see that the gathering of the juggalos, of course, is canceled, but then I also thought, these are people that truly care. So of course that makes sense.
I know they come in for more than their fair share of ribbing, but you know what? If it's meaningful to people, if they get something out of it and they are gathering together in a community and sharing and enjoying, what do you care if it's not your scene?
Yeah, exactly. It's how many fundamentalists come by here and hassle me, and I'm like, I don't really understand why you bother. Please go away.
Yeah, we're not outside your church.
Yeah, that's the last place I'd be. I got other things there.
I may have been tempted at times, but
yeah. Anyway. Yeah. So what do you say we join back in about 6 weeks for a solstice meditation?
Yes, let's see.
Location, or of course in cyberspace.
Well, June 21st is a Sunday.
Perfect.
All right.
Happens
for that one. Yeah, it'll probably still just be cyberspace by then. I know.
Yeah, I'm not making a lot of plans for the future.
No. Just one day at a time. It's interesting. We're the language of recovery. It has a lot of application in these.
Yeah, I can see that. So. Cool. Well, Sadie.
All right. Well, thank you for having me.
Oh, thanks for coming.
Hope people enjoyed the story.
Keep in touch, and thank you. I really enjoyed it.
All right. Thanks, Stephen.
And everybody out there in cyber witch world, thanks for tuning in. Tomorrow at 3:00, we are going to be speaking with Stephen Romano, who is this guy is a legendary New York City occult and esoteric art collector. And it's pretty much just going to be a just walk around his living room. So that should be pretty wild. I've known Stephen for a while now. He was the person that loaned us those awesome William Mortensen photos last year. And hopefully I could talk him into loaning me some more cool, weird, witchy occult art. So join in tomorrow because I'll probably hit him up live. So thank you so much for tuning in. And stay witchy, my friends.